Most entrepreneurs quit the game of wholesaling right before their first deal. After working with dozens of wholesalers and doing it myself for years, making over 7 figures, I've discovered there are 6 specific steps that separate those who make it and those who don't. And if you're experiencing even 3 of these signs right now, you're closer to success than you think. Look, I get it. There were so many almost quit moments for me when I was just getting started. I was doing everything right, but I was seeing no results. It felt terrible. I was making calls, I was following scripts, I was doing everything everybody said, but my bank account wasn't changing. Everything I was reading online kept saying, just keep going, don't quit, you'll get a deal. But when you're actually in the work every single day and nothing's working, those words mean absolutely nothing. I remember thinking to myself, it can't be this hard to get a deal. So many people are doing this, I have to keep going. The crazy part is I was actually doing everything right. I just couldn't see it. Now, before getting into the 6 signs, I want you to go into this knowing this story. It's called the 3 feet from gold. Maybe you've heard of it. 2 men bought land during the gold rush and started digging. After weeks of work and no real results, one of them quit, convinced there was nothing there. The other hired an engineer to study the land, and they discovered that they had stopped digging just 3 feet from one of the richest gold veins ever found. The lesson is that most entrepreneurs quit right before the breakthrough. So keep going. Your gold might just be a few feet away. So the first sign is you start looking at every seller and call as an opportunity rather than a chore. This was huge for me. Even though I had phone sales experience before, I used to see these calls as just another task on my to-do list, getting no's from sellers, going through the motions without really seeing the bigger picture. But then something clicked. I started seeing each call differently. Every conversation became an opportunity to help somebody and potentially make $20,000. When this shift happened, you stop dreading Monday mornings. You stop counting how many no's you got. Instead, you're thinking, I'm one call closer to that deal. If you're starting to feel this shift even slightly, you're closer than you think. Sign number 2 is you're excited about talking to sellers. This one kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't see it as a to-do list anymore. I was actually excited. So what changed? I started realizing that these people actually needed help getting out of whatever situation they're in, and we could help solve that problem for them where they couldn't themselves for whatever the reason. The excitement felt like being on a roller coaster. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen on each call, but I knew it was going to be fun and the outcome was eventually going to be good. When you start feeling the anticipation instead of anxiety, you're building real momentum. Sign number 3 is you're getting out offers. I remember when we were cold calling, making offers was pretty rough. We had no idea what we were doing, but we were still following the path, actually making offers. At one point, we were giving out over 100 offers a week to sellers. Most were probably terrible, but here's what I learned. The worst that they can say is no. And if they do, you move on. There's nothing more to it. When I started giving consistent offers, I felt a huge shift in momentum and determination. It wasn't about giving out perfect offers. It was about taking action. Making offers means you're playing the game, not just watching from the sidelines. Sign 4 is you start to get busy with follow-ups every single day. Your follow-ups stack up quick. The more calls you make, the more offers you give. And honestly, it's a pretty good feeling. I remember when I shifted from only calling new people to actually calling back sellers who said they were thinking about my offer. That's when I knew something was working. When I was busy with follow-ups, I could feel the progress was working. I was inching myself one step closer to getting that deal. It almost validated the system without crossing the finish line yet. I knew I was on the right path. If your calendar is getting full of follow-ups, you're building a pipeline. Deals are coming. Sign number 5 is you start to spot motivation in seller conversations. So once you do this for a prolonged period of time, you start to recognize patterns. You get pretty good at picking up on real motivation when talking with sellers. After enough conversations, you figure out the right questions to ask to lead the conversation in a way that unravels the true motivation. It becomes second nature. When I started spotting motivation, I knew that I was on the right track. It was building confidence along the way. I would think to myself, wow, I'm actually getting this down. You go from fumbling through calls to knowing within 30 seconds if somebody's truly motivated. That's a skill that only comes from putting in the work. Sign number 6 is your calls are starting to feel more natural. I practiced my script and how to frame the conversation until it was embedded in my head and I knew the exact flow and word track I needed to use. But then something crazy happened. When you learn it so well, it just starts flowing like you're talking to a friend. It doesn't feel forced and robotic anymore. The natural conversations felt relieving because I was excited to know how to control the conversations to get info and offers out better. I basically knew what I was doing. When you stop thinking about what to say next and just have conversations, you reach a whole new level. So here's what you need to understand. Some of these signs can show up your first day, your first week, your first month, or your first couple months. Not everybody experiences everything the same. But if you're experiencing even a few of these, you're going in the right direction. Every single person that's a successful wholesaler has experienced one or multiple of these when starting out. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, Tanner, but I'm feeling some of these and I still don't have a deal yet. Listen to me carefully. A great foundation is not built overnight. This is going to be the hardest it will ever be right now. And it only gets easier. Every day that you make a mistake, every day that you learn makes tomorrow easier. When you stack up those days over months, you become a whole different person. The business becomes exponentially easier and second nature. Don't give up before that foundation is even built for you to see what is possible. Not everyone closes a deal in 30 days, but everyone who keeps going does close deals. With that being said, keep pushing. And remember, you are so much closer than you think to changing your life.